Welcome to this explainer. Today we're stepping right into the profound, incredibly shadowy depths of one of literature's absolute greatest epics, Paradise Lost. We're zeroing in on a figure whose influence honestly dictates the entire trajectory of the narrative. We're talking about the Lord of the Flies himself, Beelzebub. Often when we analyze these grand cosmic struggles, our eyes are just naturally drawn to the loudest leader in the room, right? But today we're relying strictly on the source text to uncover how Beelzebub operates, not just as some secondary character, but as the true, highly calculated architect of a devastating proxy war. Okay, let's dive into this. When we think of the Fallen, we usually picture these chaotic, raging monsters just lashing out blindly. But the text actually presents something far more sophisticated and, well, frankly, far more dangerous. Beelzebub is the unseen giant shadow lurking below the surface. He's not the one making the grandiose, fiery speeches that draw all the attention. Instead, he's a deeply calculated strategist. He's the guy quietly orchestrating monumental events from the murky depths. He's observing the board, literally moving the pieces, while everyone else is just completely blinded by their own pride and rage.
Section 1. The Second in Command. To truly grasp the brilliance of his strategy, we first have to understand his specific place in the hierarchy. He's positioned right behind the leader, close enough to power to steer it, but insulated from the blinding ego of absolute leadership. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how his tactical thinking evolves from this exact vantage point. Look at Epic 1. He was there, right? He witnessed the first war in heaven firsthand. He saw the sheer, overwhelming, totally omnipotent power of their opponent. And he knows exactly what direct conflict entails. Then comes Epic 2, The Fall. Surviving that catastrophic, universe-altering defeat completely shifted his worldview. It burned away any illusions about winning a conventional battle. So by Epic 3, rising as the definitive second-in-command, he isn't just a survivor anymore. He has developed an entirely new strategic mindset, one permanently informed by the harsh reality of that initial crushing loss.
Section 2. The Council of Pandemonium.
I want you to imagine the atmosphere of the scene detailed in the text here. It's this dark, echoing hall where the Fallen have gathered in the immediate aftermath of their defeat. Morale is totally shattered, their domain is a literal ruin, and they're desperately trying to debate their next move. And the text reveals a fundamental split in this crucible. On one side, we have Option A, which is a direct, brutal assault on heaven. It's a highly emotional, pride-fueled desire for a completely doomed frontal attack against an omnipotent foe. Contrast that with Option B, Beelzebub's insidious, creeping alternative. It is the ultimate crossroads, really. The sheer feudal brutality of a direct strike versus the cold, calculating subversion of a brand new kind of warfare.
Section 3. The Proxy War Strategy. This right here is the absolute turning point of the entire narrative. The fiery debates of the council quiet down. The murmuring ceases. And Beelzebub steps forward out of the shadows to finally reveal his master plan to the assembly. So what exactly is he proposing? A proxy war, an indirect conflict where a major power actively avoids direct battle, choosing instead to use third parties, in this case humanity, as alternative targets. So the crucial point is that Beelzebub has analyzed the power dynamics perfectly. He recognizes that another round of divine warfare is completely unwinnable, so he engineers this massive strategic shift away from physical combat, pivoting entirely toward calculated psychological sabotage.
Let's walk through the specific steps he lays out to convince the council. Step 1. Abandon the direct assault on heaven completely. It's a total waste of their remaining strength and will only end in further ruin. Step 2. Shift their entire focus to a much softer, highly symbolic target, the newly created humanity, a creation deeply loved by their enemy. And Step 3. Execute a proxy war to strike back indirectly. By corrupting humanity, they inflict profound pain on their adversary without ever exposing themselves to another direct, catastrophic defeat. It is a patient, deeply cynical, long-term strategy of creeping dread.
Section 4. The Industry Philosophy. To truly grasp why Beelzebub pushes so intensely for this indirect approach, we have to look at the underlying mindset that shapes their new existence in the underworld. The absolute core of this philosophy is distilled into one of the most iconic lines from the source material. Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven. This isn't just a defiant slogan, you guys. It's a comprehensive manifesto for their entire new society.
So what does this industry actually look like in practice? Well, first, it's fundamentally about establishing ultimate sovereignty in hell. They are claiming this desolate space as their own undisputed domain.
Second, it represents a categorical, uncompromising rejection of servitude. They are deciding they will literally never submit again. And finally, architecting the proxy war serves as a vital mechanism of that reign. And this brilliantly illustrates how Beelzebub's mind works. He takes a scenario that looks like a total, irreversible loss and actively turns it into a strategic, sovereign domain. The proxy war against humanity isn't just some petty act of revenge. It's the very foundation of their new, independent industry. It gives them purpose, a unified goal, and a tangible way to project power from their exile.
Which leaves us with a really profound and honestly unsettling question to consider as we wrap up our analysis of the source text. If this entire proxy war was designed primarily to establish this concept of industry in hell, if it was basically a calculated administrative move to ensure their own sovereignty rather than just blind malice, who truly architected the fall of humanity? Was it the loud, proud leader who always takes the spotlight? Or was it the quiet, calculating second-in-command who drafted the blueprint in the shadows? Think about that as you revisit the text. Thank you for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning what lies beneath the surface.